class, we're talking a lot about how to speak to people so that they can take in the information and they get it. Which means we have to mix up our presentations like a sandwich, because you will have an audience. There are a lot of you here that are right brain, a lot that are left brain, a lot that are, what is he again? The middle brain?
Ambibrain.
Ambibrain, yes, I gotta put that new word
It's like
in.
ambidextrous.
An ambidextrous brain. So you need to know when you're presenting that you're reaching everybody. That's why I was so stressed out yesterday, because I had to make sure the technology worked. Because my presentation has a lot of visuals, because I want to speak to the right side of the brain. I couldn't just get up here and talk to you about this. You need to see some things, because the right brain and the left brain are going to learn from pictures. So that's why the technology was so important to be able to do that. So when we do presentations, we need to make like a sandwich, because our right brain people are going to love the imagery, the metaphors, the stories, the similes. They're going to get that. But for left brain people, we need to make sure that we have some statistics, some facts, some figures. They have to understand that, so we have to combine them all together. And so the way that we learn to present will help both the right and the left side of the brain work together. Mirror neurons. Mirror neurons, they were actually not discovered too long ago. Don't quote me on this, because I'm not left-brained and I can't remember, but I want to say 10, 15 years ago, okay? That they really discovered that this was a very important part of the brain, because your mirror neurons are the part when I meet you, I'm going to get your intention right away. Like I'm going to get this feeling of intention. Because the brain parts of the brain are very primitive. And so back in primitive days, right, if you met somebody, they were a foe. You had to think that they were a foe until you had evidence that they were a friend. So that's why as a speaker, it's very important to me that I go up and try to connect with people in my group when I come in. That's why I tried to greet a lot of you, because I wanted our mirror neurons to connect so that you would say, oh, well, she looks pretty safe. She doesn't look like a foe. She's kind of friendly. This might be all right to be in this class. Because that's getting our mirror neurons working together. It's hugely important for a speaker. When, would you stand up, Robbie? When Nelson Mandela goes into a room, went into rooms, he is seen as, he would walk through the threshold like this. Nice to meet you. He would get, thank you, your intention right away, right? He's coming at you, he's giving you eye contact, he's leaning forward, his mirror neurons are meeting yours. That was one of the things that make him such a charismatic person that people want to follow. They get that. Those are some of the things that are so important in leadership. So our mirror neurons in our early stages are what babies learn how to imitate. It's the mirror neurons. You know, when you make a face and the baby makes that same face. It's the mirror neurons. And you know, babies, if you are stressed, they can, even though you're not having a conversation, say, God, this is the worst day ever. You know, I burnt dinner, I had a terrible baby. You don't have to say a word, the babies will feel the stress. You got to be careful of that, right? So, mirror neurons are hugely important. It's how we end up conditioning things. Even you'll see mirror neurons show up when, if I'm sitting with Wynn and she has a sip of her water, my brain is going to like, oh, let's take a sip of my water, you know? It's not something I think about consciously, but unconsciously. So the mirror neurons are very important. What would make them important if you were a boss or a leader? What do you have to be careful of about your mirror neurons?
Not to do something that you no longer can do.
Yeah. And coming into a room, if you're leading a team meeting, and you're really aggravated because you just had something, you come into the room like this, they're all going to look at your mirror neurons and they're going to connect with that, and you are going to create that in the space. I coach leaders and executives all the time and try to tell them that that is so important. You can't just walk, and even if you walk into a room, you don't say anything to anybody, but you're like this, and you're like, the room is going to feel that. They're going to feel that energy. and you're gonna have a hard time getting it back. You better clean up your energy before you go in there.